Hey, everybody, welcome to Matt Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarin, and I'm joined by my Night's King, Rich Stambolian.
Oh, yeah. He should have had a cool catchphrase like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you know, there's the Night King and the Night's King.
The
They're
Night's
two.
King. Okay.
One is the guard on the wall.
Right.
That's the Night King, correct? Let me see.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Night's King is the guy that guards the wall.
Like with a K.
With a K.
Yeah.
And the other one, Knights.
And then
King.
that's the Night King.
And that's the Night King.
He should have said something cool like, yeah, dude.
Can you imagine? This is our Game of Thrones recap show. We're going to be recapping episode 4 and giving you our theories on the season finale. No, this is a pro wrestling show, right?
It is a pro wrestling show. Question,
go
though.
ahead.
Were you upset that Jon Snow didn't pet ghosts?
You know what? They don't need to because they have a telepathic thing.
I agree with that, and that's what the producers said.
Yeah, they got a spooky thing going.
They got a thing going.
We you know what? I could talk about Game of Thrones this entire show.
That's true.
The 2-week break that we had from doing the show, guys, we did take a little break.
Yeah.
We took a little hiatus. Rich was in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
He went to a really cool pro wrestling bar, which I want to
Union Beer Store.
Union Beer Store.
Yeah.
It was pro wrestling themed.
Yeah.
Which you met the guy there that owns it or manages it. You had a nice conversation with him. Shout out to those guys. If you're in Miami, you want to check out a really interesting place, go check them out.
It's in Little Havana. Very easy to find, really cool place, amazing beer, great food, really chill. If they have awesome coasters, if you're gonna take a coaster, ask the guy first. But it's a Union Beer Store. Highly recommend it.
How many times do people take his stuff?
He was telling me that they take a lot of stuff and don't ask.
Like what? Like the coasters, obviously.
Just like coasters and stuff that they have, and like people try to take stuff off the wall.
I'm gonna take this T-shirt off the wall.
Yeah, and they're like, "Why would you do that? Just ask." You know,
people are such slime balls,
that
garbage
is true.
People. So we do have a lot to talk about. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. We were on break. I did do a great interview with JD from New York. JD from New York 206. He wants to do some collab stuff with us, and
sure.
I'm all for it. Guy Evans, the author of Nitro, the WCW story, the book, he's coming back on. He messaged me on DM, and I definitely want to have him on. I know that there's an audiobook version coming out, so I do want to talk to him about the book again, and I think it would be cool to kind of recap the WCW story again because Andrew made a boo-boo with that interview.
It's okay, it happens.
And he did not record the audio. I had a 2.5-hour discussion with this guy, and it was such a home run I hit. Such a home run. I was on, and
now I don't believe it because you're talking about it so highly.
Suncast goes, dude, where's the audio? Oh my god! So he's coming on. We're gonna do a redo. We're gonna do the interview again. A lot of stuff going on. We're doing those interview series. It's gonna continue. I'm gonna have a couple podcasters on. Chris Masters coming back on soon. He was a really surprisingly great interview. I had a lot of fun talking to him.
The best
because he kind of opened up as the interview went on with us.
Total sweetheart.
And that's always a good sign that they're getting comfortable. And he gave us the best compliment. And he said that all other pro wrestling podcasts suck except for us.
He did say something along those lines after we went off the air, but suck is a strong word.
Suck. That's what I'm saying. Guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, of course. But before we continue, I want to thank our great sponsor, and that's Hover. Domain names made simple. This is an easy breezy way to purchase a domain name. I'm a big domain name buyer. I buy all my friends' names, and then I blackmail them. I own richstambolian.com, and I just put unflattering photos of him on there.
It's true.
Moments of weakness and moments that he's just not in the best of conditions.
He just catches me in mid-sneeze all the time.
Sleeping, sneeze, coming out of the restroom. Listen, you can do that to your friends too. If you go to hover.com/Mattmen, you can get 10% off your first purchase. If you're buying a domain name, go support us. Go to hover.com/Mattmen, get 10% off your first purchase. So, Rich, where do you want to begin today? Because there's so much to talk about. I do want to talk about the Viceland documentary. We have Mailbag, Raw, Smackdown, Wildcard.
Let's start with the wild card. Is it nonsense? Is it ratings? Is it pressure from the networks? What is your take on the wild card situation that was oddly introduced on Monday night?
So before we go on, I do want to say a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna talk about today is not firsthand information that I have.
Yeah.
If it comes up like something that I know, I'll say. But I've been kind of disconnected from trying to find information the last 2 weeks.
A little
So
burnt out on the wrestling.
a little bit after Mania, and we took a nice little break, and now we're back. But Vince McMahon, say what you want, but when he comes out, he's able to kind of, he's so easy when he's out there.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like,
natural.
He flows. He goes with it. It's a very different way when you compare it to everybody else doing it. So Raw, I liked how Raw started.
Same.
Okay, and this kind of this is going to go into a whole different conversation here, but I enjoyed the beginning of Raw.
Same.
I thought it was the format I kind of liked better. We are in a very bizarre moment with wrestling where we are. I'm not saying you or I, because we get paid to do this,
Right.
but as a fan, you should watch it to enjoy it, not watch it to be critical of it. Now, being critical is fine. Expecting the best is fine. But what the best is to you may not be the best for somebody else.
And that's not, people are not aware of that.
Okay? Game of Thrones suffers from the same exact thing, especially this season.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody is a writer. Everybody is a booker. Everybody's doing it. I have actually written wrestling. Okay? I actually am on a booking team.
Harder than it looks.
It is a very difficult job. And I'm not saying I'm great at all. I have good ideas. I have terrible ideas.
Yeah.
But you have to also realize that you have to write not for today, but a year from now,
Right.
6 months from now.
Right.
So a lot of this right now may not make sense, but it may make sense in 6 months, or it may not. They may be terrible. I thought it was a good beginning. I actually like that there was one match in the first hour.
Right.
And they kind of filled the second and third hour. They packed it.
Yep.
I like the Kofi match.
Oh,
I
it's
like
fantastic.
the AJ, the tag match. I thought it made sense.
Absolutely.
I thought the Vince segment was good. But now we are in a place where no matter what they do, they're done. They're going to get criticized terribly.
Yeah.
So I put out a survey. I said, okay, guys, here's your chance. On Twitter during Raw, I said, here's your chance. Give me I'm not going word for word, but pretty much it was, give me the hot angle that's going to turn this around. Book it. Do it right now. Tell me what you think will turn this company around. Out of the, let's say 100 messages, 2 were, or 3 or 4, a small portion of it,
Right.
were coherent concepts that work.
2 out of 20. 100%. I agree, because I
followed it.
I followed it, and I was
Even
like,
to the point.
nobody's answering the question. Nobody's answering the question.
Rich, even to the point that somebody wrote, I've been looking at this thread, and it just shows you how nobody has an answer. They just want to criticize.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
And
100%.
listen, is the product good now? No, I think it's very stale.
Do you think so?
It's stale. I do. I think the product has hit a point that there's no unpredictableness.
Okay.
In the sense, I'm not talking about angles. I'm saying ebbs and flows with the show.
Okay.
You know what's going to happen in the first hour. You know what the second match is going to be. What reason do you have to watch if you know nothing that happens is important at that moment?
That's an interesting point of view. Do you think that is because the WrestleMania was this was a really, say what you want, this was a really big WrestleMania. And you had a lot of really big WrestleMania moments.
Happened.
Now, do you think that's because they blew their load on WrestleMania? Now it hit that like little stale wall where it's like they're rebuilding?
Yeah, because this is not supposed to be a stale wall.
Right.
Because this is a moment that it's not supposed to be stale. It's supposed to kind of lead into things. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they kind of listened to the audience and they gave them things that they wanted. And now that they have what they wanted, they're upset that it's boring.
Right.
Like there's a couple that I do think is very stale though. In all seriousness, as watching it as a wrestling fan,
right.
I think it's stale, and watching it as the everyday person, it's very stale.
But what's like, see, that's the thing. Like, there's subtle nuances and there's personal barometers with stale. Now, is your stale unwatchable stale, or is your stale like, let me keep watching and see what happens?
I have to tell you, if I did not cover wrestling, if we didn't do the show, I probably would not be watching it.
Really?
I probably would get all the information online, and this is part of the problem, right? I would probably go to Reddit, I would go to YouTube, I would look at Twitter, and I would get what's happening there. And if there's a hot moment, give an example, the CM Punk moment.
Okay.
Right? We talk about the trajectory of WWE, and since the entire 2010s have been a decline.
Okay.
2011, when CM Punk did that pipe bomb, it actually prevented that decline from happening quicker.
I agree.
It brought a lot of people back, and then Hunter came back, and they were doing different things.
Yeah.
And then NXT, I believe the NXT call-ups helped too.
Yeah.
But right now, they have hit a wall when it comes to bringing in the people.
For once, watching over the last couple of weeks, I'm not going to agree 100%, but I do logically think like they seem like they're in a really odd scramble, more so than usual.
Yes.
Where a lot of stuff after WrestleMania was in place to succeed with their current roster, right? But then it just seemed like something kind of screwy happened, and the emphasis was taken off a lot of people that it shouldn't have been taken off of. You have the releases, the requests for releases, the rumors, and then apparently there's pressure from the network to deliver numbers, right?
Yes. So they're getting pressure from NBC,
Yeah.
Universal. They're getting pressure from Fox. And listen, I don't blame WWE in anything they're doing right now that has led them to this moment of the lowest ratings period in the history of the company. Right? They are at the lowest ratings period, not week over week, but I'm saying quarter wise.
Right,
They're
right.
just declining. 25% drop in ratings year over year. That is a plummet. It's not a the ratings are going for TV. Ratings aren't the same. I understand TV ratings very well.
Okay.
I understand how this works. You're not seeing a 20%, 25% drop in ratings overall across the board.
Right.
Yeah, the NBA finals are here. TV's more competitive. You're not only competing with TV, you're competing with YouTube and Twitch and other forms of content. That's a reality. Yeah. But the thing about WWE is that their viewers had the FOMO virus.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
The fear of missing out. And this is something that's very important in television. Game of Thrones has that moment.
Yeah.
The FOMO virus. Everybody knows the next day you could go and watch recap videos and podcasts and tweets, and you don't need to watch the product to get a good sense of what's happening. But if you have the FOMO virus,
yes,
and this is something that was said to me by my friend in TV.
Yeah.
He goes, WWE there's no cure for WWE TV. You have to watch it to understand the product.
Right, right.
Now, they have made it in a way by not just their own fault, but people like us that kind of cover it and everybody else. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kev.
You now don't need to watch it. And that's the cure for the FOMO virus. And once you lose that, it's not good when people don't need to tune in every week. Because 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, now it becomes a trend and it's out of their lives.
Now, okay, so I think age may have something to do with that. I also think attention span has something to do with that. Like, I think we're of the generation that, like, when you're committed to something, you commit to it, you know? Like, on occasion, I will have a million things on at once, but if I'm focused on, like, Game of Thrones, great example. You know?
Have to focus.
Got to focus on it. And I do have that FOMO. I have HBO. I have HBO Go. I can watch it literally when it's over. I can watch it the next day. I can do whatever I want, but I need to watch it as it happens, right?
Here's a good question.
Okay.
When is the last time you went back and rewatched a match from Raw? Because it was that good.
I will tell the last time I went back on my DVR, and I do DVR Raw. The last time I went back and watched something I DVR'd, I think was the Ricochet Aleister Black debut when they were the tag team.
You went back to watch.
I went back to watch it. I was like,
I'm saying
it's
a
fun.
match. I'm saying a match. Not a segment.
That's a Andrade Mysterio on SmackDown from maybe like 2 months ago.
You went back to rewatch.
I went back and rewatched it because I think that's when Ray did the Canadian Destroyer.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that was the one. Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time. I mean, I probably watched the clips online, but I can't tell you the last time I went to rewatch Raw again because it was so good.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not a thing that happens with them anymore.
I think, but also like, listen, like and I hate to bring up the Attitude Era, but during that whole Attitude Era, we didn't have DVRs. We had VHS tapes.
We recorded, yeah.
And we didn't have, I mean, you had the internet, but it wasn't like the internet, you know, it was okay. It took you like 40 minutes to download 2 songs. But like that we weren't in touch with everything as we are now, so there were less distractions, you know? Like I would do homework, watch Raw, and then are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I would do homework, watch Raw, and then probably play like my PS1 or PS2, right? Now it's like there's everything. And you know what I do sometimes? I'm guilty of it. Like if I'm not feeling Raw, I will put it on my iPad and have it next to me on the coffee table.
And you'll do something.
And
else.
I will play video games. And just like kind of like just watch it as I'm playing and then pause it and if something good comes on. But I mean, like now it's like there's so much.
So it's an uphill battle, right?
Yeah,
They're competing with everything.
100%.
So in order to in order to kind of bring this in, WWE has decided that they're going to slow down the way that they put clips on YouTube, which I agree with. I was asked, Jamie, thank you so much. I was asked by somebody in their media department years ago. I was friends with him. He moved on to someplace else. But he said, "What do you think of this? You do podcasts. You do your stuff on YouTube." I said, "It's a big mistake because now what's the incentive for me to watch?
Right.
I don't need to sit 3 hours to see something that was unbelievable happen. You gave it away. So I do think it's a great idea for them to kind of remove. Don't put it on a delay. A day later, 2 days, 2 days later.
Absolutely, 100%. Like I think that's so interesting where they have these weird policies with the internet and social media, and yet after a pay-per-view, they will just show the stills, which is very old school. Like the day after WrestleMania on Raw, they didn't show any action.
Yeah,
it was just still shots.
Still shots,
right? I think they think YouTube is like Snapchat, where they're like, oh, we'll put this up, it'll disappear in like 2 minutes, But you're right, it doesn't create the impetus to watch anything else,
Why would you?
Yeah.
That's the reality. So right now they're in this position where they need to figure out how to stop the bleeding. They're not hemorrhaging, they're bleeding.
No, yeah.
It's
the flesh wound.
It's a flesh wound at this point. But no, it's more than a flesh. It's like a gash. They fell off their bicycle. Okay? They were in Crossrun Park. They were 9 years old. They had their helmet on.
Paint this picture, please.
They're going down the hill, and there's a stick. There's a twig on the floor, and they fell over, and now they got a big gash on their arm.
Was this you?
It was me.
It was you.
It was me.
Did you cry?
The stick though was not a stick. It was
dildo.
It was a.
Did you cry? Dildo.
It was no. It was a large. It was a very large group. It was a Hispanic family of like 8 of them.
You crashed it. Did you burn?
I literally
did they blow up?
I went right into them. No, they shattered like the Night King. I went right into that family.
Oh my god!
Like, I went into the grandmother, the grandfather.
Oh my god!
Like, went in and I flipped and I gashed my arm and I left my bike and I ran home.
All right.
I lost that bike. It was
out
gone.
Out of fear.
Out of fear.
Or just like embarrassment.
I was totally embarrassed.
So this is Raw. That is basically
Raw.
Monday Night Raw at this point. Crashing into a Spanish family and leaving their bike behind.
my mother had told me not to go out that day.
Oh.
She's like, don't go out.
She jinxed you.
She jinxed me.
Yeah.
She gave me the evil eye.
Yeah.
I ended up killing a Spanish family by mistake.
Family.
A poor Hispanic family. They're wondering now. There's some kid that grew up. He's 35 years old. He's questioning everything now. Who was that boy that made my grandmother shatter into dust? So right now there is a tremendous problem. So what they did on Monday was, okay, let's do something different. They introduced this wild card.
Very ham-fisted way.
By the way, Vince was so good.
Yeah.
I have to tell you.
He's the best.
He's the best. He's senile. He's off. I'm the best. Hey. The whole time.
For a guy who doesn't want to be on TV.
He's so good.
I think it's because he doesn't want to be on TV. Or he's like, all right, let's get through this.
Yeah.
Wow, say this, say that. Let's go.
So they had Vince McMahon come out there. They had Daniel Bryan return.
Fantastic.
After a long absence. So he's cleared. Last week he was. I said on Twitter that he was cleared last week. And he should have been on Tuesday. He was returning on Tuesday. He returned on Monday. They had Kofi show up. They had Roman show up.
Great.
AJ showed up. AJ came out. Seth came out.
Yeah.
This was a packed
great opener.
Start of the show.
Great opener.
Packed start of the show. Everybody crapped on it.
I don't understand.
I just got a barrage of people crapping on it.
Yeah.
I thought that was listen, right now, it's hot to crap on them.
Yeah.
And they got to get that stink off also because perception is king. Perception guides you.
It's hot to crap on everything. It's not just wrestling, but I think it's just the mentality of people now. And I feel sorry for anybody in the chat room who has this kind of like mentality where I think it's not necessarily crapping on, but I think it's like the anxious fear gets the best of people. You know what I mean? Where it's like
The anxious fear.
oh, I hope this is good. They're going to ruin this, you know? Like, don't say that. Just say, like, yo, this is great, man. I had a long day at work. Check it out. It's all my favorite dudes are in the ring. Roman Reigns, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people aren't hopeful to watch. They're hopeful that it doesn't get ruined. And it's that anxious fear drives me so crazy.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they announced today that Chadwick Boseman will be playing a role in a biopic where he plays the first black samurai in Japan who was a former slave named Yasuke, right?
Is this based on a true story?
This is based on a true story.
Okay.
And amazing, great, cool, great biopic.
Cool
Chadwick
story.
Boseman's awesome, great actor. Every single social media thread is like, I hope they don't ruin it. And I'm like, yo, you don't even know this story.
You don't even know the
You know?
story. Yeah. Why?
They're going to ruin this.
They're going to ruin this.
That's everybody's opinion, man.
I
I'm
got
hyper
into a
on
Coco.
coffee right now, by the way.
I got into a Coco
Why?
because he hates Game of Thrones now. He
Why?
hates this season.
Why?
Hates it. He doesn't even know why.
Because he wanted to make out with Arya Stark?
He hates Daenerys. He hates Danny.
Daenerys.
Daenerys. He hates Danny.
Uh-huh.
By the way, the only thing that's annoying is that Jon Snow's voice has changed. Danny.
He's getting harder.
Danny. He's getting harder.
Mm.
He's going to send it to Vince. Can you imagine?
Ugh.
Just comes out like this.
How much do you like Tormund?
I love Tormund.
Tormund's
He's the best.
Yeah.
Which one of you took a shit in my pants? Love him. So, here's something else, right? So, a lot of this is going to be on just, I want people to think about what they're seeing and kind of guide their reaction on that, okay? So, that I thought it was a strong segment. As someone that can write TV and I know how this works, I looked at it in that eye and I said, wow, they did a good job at this. They did a lot of stuff. Not leading to anything, but they did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they gave us Daniel Bryan and Kofi in the main event.
Great.
Cool. Like it. They introduced this wild card, which has 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Shane is losing his mind and hanging out with bad boys. They did
That's true.
put stuff in place. All of a sudden, I see the barrage. And I wrote, what would you do? How would you change this? And you know what the answers were? We need more wrestling.
Plenty of wrestling.
Okay? We need more wrestling. We need more NXT call-ups.
Okay.
We need to make Raw like NXT. We need to fire Vince. We need to fire the... that's not a hot angle. Give me a hot angle. What do you want to see?
Hot takes, baby.
First of all,
dicks.
and I'm going to say this, and this is going to come off terrible to a lot of our audience.
Please.
Most people that watch Raw
Here it comes.
don't want to see long matches.
Okay.
Okay? They don't want to see it. They don't want to see a 30-minute match, a 20-minute match. The matches are there for the P1s.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there for us. We could watch the match. We could appreciate the art. We know what's a good match. We know what's a bad match. But the person that's tuning in wants the storyline. And that's, every time I say it to people like, oh, you've been listening to Russo too much. Russo was 100% right in that.
Okay.
A storyline needs to capture you, and it leads into the match.
Right.
And the match tells the story, continues the story in the ring.
Right.
They are not doing a good job at capturing the casual viewer to say, wow, what is this? What's happening?
They're taking a step backwards also in the regard of like their storytelling now is just grudge matches.
Grudge matches. Grudge match.
You know,
You're right.
which is fine, but like I like long form storytelling, and you can do little bits and bobs every week of like this dude did this guy Bray Wyatt kidnapping Roman Reigns' daughter.
All right, that's a storyline. It
Randy
didn't really
Orton.
pay off, but it's a storyline. They attempted it.
Or do you think it's just like a matter of creative where they're just like, I can't think of anything?
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's a fundamental mindset that was put in about 12 years ago, and it's biting them in the ass now.
Okay.
Because writing for television has improved astronomically over the last decade.
100%.
Right? Shows that were considered smart. Well, Frasier's still a smart show.
Absolutely.
But, take them out. Take a smart show and then put it here today. Dexter, for example, right? Dexter was considered a smart show.
First 3 seasons, sure.
First 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Considered a smart show. It wouldn't survive by today's standards.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So you need to write for today.
24, I think, is a good example too.
20. Oh, that's a great example, actually.
Yeah.
24, Grey's Anatomy.
Mhm.
Right? People thought Grey's Anatomy is written so well. It's written terribly.
Mhm.
And it's showing now because they have not evolved their style of television. 24, great. People loved it. Prison Break, another one.
Mhm.
Will not hold up because of today's writing standard.
Okay.
Right? When you look at WWE, what they've done is simplified writing.
Yes.
And simplified storytelling. Too much. Sometimes, simplification works. Austin McMahon, greatest simple story ever.
Right. Oh, yeah. I
Right?
hate my boss.
I hate my boss. He's rich. He's a dick.
Mhm.
I'm the working man. I'm a everybody I could appeal to. I could appeal to New Yorkers because they hate their boss. I appeal to Southerners because they hate their boss.
Everybody hates.
Everybody hates their
universally,
boss. Universally, it works. But when you now no longer depend on the story to continue in the ring,
right.
How does that continue? What happens? Give me the story right now. Give me a storyline right now happening.
That's not a grudge match.
That is not a grudge match.
Yeah.
That is
tough.
not athleticism, and I'm gonna fight you because I'm the toughest guy, and I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very odd at this point too, because like the overarching Kofi may have the best overarching story, just in the regard of like people calling him a fluke, right? That sets him up for a lot of great matches. The Shane Miz stuff, I think that's a true storyline. Because you got his dad involved, and they had the partnership, and then the Saudi Arabia thing, best in the world, and now they're going back but also that's the boss's son.
Yeah,
so
the
of
boss,
course
it's the boss's son, and by the way, they're grooming him to be the next Vince.
Right.
And I'm not saying wrestling is not important. Wrestling is very important to me. That's why I watch.
Right.
But I'm saying not for us. Let's not think about us.
Right.
Let's think about how can we grow the brand. And let's think about what you were interested in when you first discovered this. Now, I'm not when you first really got into it. Like the Attitude Era. Everybody praises this crappy era in wrestling.
Right.
It was terrible wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible wrestling. For the most part, except for the main events.
The highlights, yeah.
You had 5 guys that were really good, but even by today's standard, that wrestling was not that great.
Right.
Austin brawling all over the place. By today's standard, somebody would, you would hear, somebody would write a message saying he's terrible.
But that's what you remember, right?
But I remember the excitement of Austin coming out and, oh my God, what's going to happen next?
Right.
How is Raw going to begin and how is Raw going to end?
That's the one thing that's missing, because if you have, they reach that point of excitement, I think with the Becky stuff, right? Which is why they headline WrestleMania 35.
But look what happened with that.
I agree with that. That kind of it's in a weird state right now. But that exciting, what happens here and what happens. I'll give you a good example. Sammy got thrown into a trash can and showed up the next day. And
the story was that he smells.
He basically got murdered, and then he's just like, "Hey, I'm fine. Oh, I stink."
Yeah.
But you want that a little bit of long term would help. I think the fans are a little too hard on the product too, because I'll be honest here, and I may offend people, but I think get off your high horse. See,
I think we fall a little different here.
Yeah.
I do think that it's not, to me, out of the last time I felt like this, that I was this disenfranchised with the product on Raw was probably before Y2J came back with the Randy Orton stuff.
Interesting.
So 2008, right? 2007.
Okay.
After Benoit passed away, after that, because I came back for ECW again when ECW came in, it was tiresome.
Yeah.
For me. I kind of lost interest in the late 2000s.
Same here. No, same here. That was like Miz and R-Truth headlining every Raw.
Perfect.
And I totally lost interest too, because it was just like that. Nobody was doing moves anymore. I think they had that weird mandate of
nothing,
just punches, and that's it. Nobody was running the ropes. Now it's the excite. That's a thing.
The matches are great. The matches are always good.
I want to get a psychologist in here who is also a wrestling fan to give us a little bit of an insight into the hate that people spew. But not only the hate that people spew, the hate that people spew where they think they're right. That disillusional hate speech on wrestling and fiction where they're like, no, my opinion is the real one that matters. It's great to have opinions. But,
I think because everybody has their own thing that they want.
Talk to me.
Imagine if Twitter existed in the 90s.
Oh, forget
when the Attitude Era was there. We would have the same exact thing.
Owen Hart would be gone. Bret Hart would be gone.
Everybody sucks.
Diesel would be the best.
Diesel would be the best.
What do you want?
What do I want?
Yeah.
That's a great question because somebody asked me, like, what do you think they should do? It's so complicated right now to even fathom that. But I have the same selfish things that most everybody else on Twitter wants to see. I would love there to be a little bit more edge. I think if you have a little bit more edge, I'm talking about Adam Copeland. Not like if you have a little bit more edge, it builds something. You say, huh, that's interesting. Like the Becky, those segments I work with Becky, you know what it is? She beat the crap out of people.
Yeah.
Right? People want to see that. A little bit of violence. And I know that's crazy to say that wrestling needs a little bit more violence.
It does.
But it does. It needs something to say, holy crap. Wow.
The Samoa Joe, AJ Styles Ray match from a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown.
That was great.
I think that's what I want.
Yeah,
hard-hitting, intense action, great story between the three guys.
There are people that do not go to Twitter when Raw is on.
Yes.
And do not listen to podcasts.
They are smart.
And they watch Raw. You know what? They freaking love it.
Yeah.
There's a guy that goes to press all the time. He's a big wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
He does not read the sheets. He doesn't read forums. He doesn't do any of that. You know what? He goes, I love it. My kid loves it. I love it. He goes, why am I going to sit there and read about it? I don't want to ruin it. I want to watch it week over week. I think if you watch Raw like that, you're kind of still into it.
Mm-hmm.
But with fandom comes this culture, which exists, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think this is great because it builds communities and people talk.
Yeah.
But WWE has not evolved to work with this.
100%.
NXT is the purest brand. You know why people don't crap on NXT?
Why?
Because you don't have P2s watching NXT.
Okay.
You only have the people that love wrestling watching NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to love what they see because that's what they want to see. They want to see wrestling. They want to see wrestlers. They want to see quick, short, boom, done. Takeovers are always great because they're wrestling. They don't add the BS that you see on TV. And fact that most people will not admit to, most people that watch NXT don't watch week over week.
Right.
It is a 100% accurate that most people that sit there and watch NXT are not watching every single week, consuming it all day long.
I binge NXT because I'll watch it let's say one Saturday every month or every 5 weeks. I'll be like, oh, let me catch up on what I missed. Now, that being said, it's also a very interesting thing how New Japan has been getting a lot of that toxicity also. I feel like within the last 6 months,
Yes, New Japan is getting it because they've done. New Japan is the total opposite problem.
Mm-hmm.
New Japan got a whole bunch of P2s, and now that the Americans are gone, they're gone with them.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
New Japan has not done anything booking-wise that has offended me.
Yeah, they've been fantastic.
I think it's been interesting. The problem is they relied so much on Kenny and the Bucks and all that Bullet Club stuff for so many years. Think about it. Since Finn, right? So 4 years?
Well, Finn was 2013. 6 years.
Okay, so I think AJ was the beginning, right? AJ really brought those guys in.
Okay.
So 2014.
Yeah.
15, 16, not 5 years.
Yeah.
They had 5 years of getting the interest of wrestling fans that did not watch Japanese wrestling.
Right.
And all of a sudden now you've Americanized it, you westernized it a little bit, and man, they're cursing in promos.
Right.
They're doing stuff that I've never seen.
They're the non-traditional approach.
They now added English.
Yeah.
Now Ring of Honor's booming, and that's crossovers happening. You brought a lot of 30-somethings in the game.
Absolutely.
And now that they're gone,
and they turned on you.
Now that they're gone, they left with them.
How do you feel about Jericho versus Okada?
Very into this. If I was them, I would put the title on Jericho.
100%. 100%.
Put the title on Jericho. Listen, and people will crap all over it, but Jericho could go with that.
He's looking good too.
He's working out a little bit.
Yeah.
Chubby dad Jericho's. Listen, man, the guy reinvented himself. Say what you want about him. The guy, he's fascinating.
100%. Yeah.
Talking about fascinating, I do want to tell everybody, you want to see an edgy promo. Did you see that Daniel Bryan promo on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk about a promo?
Yeah.
Look, goosebumps. Okay.
He's great.
You know why? He doesn't give a shit.
Mhm.
He cut a wrestling promo.
He did.
An old school, looking directly at the camera. We're the best. We're better than you. And we're the champions. We're going to take this seriously. Man, what a great promo.
About time, too.
Also, smart.
Very smart.
Why is he in a tag team?
Protects him.
Protects him.
Also, I do think, again, like people poo-poo on the booking a lot, but I do think that Daniel Bryan singles match on Monday may be his last singles match for a while.
I think so, too. I think they're going to ease him in a little bit. They're going to take him off the whole European tour. I believe he's doing a lot of tag matches.
Gave him a nice little single send-off to headline Raw, you know? And then now it's like
cool.
building...
Go into tag team, and then you get healthy again, you know?
Yeah. Build that tag division.
We have to remember they have to appeal to more than wrestling fans.
Right.
1 million people's not going to save them. Yeah, they'll sell out WrestleMania with that 1 million, and they'll do okay with house shows, or terrible with house shows right now. But you have to look at the bigger picture here, and that's attracting the most viewers,
right,
and building interesting content. And they are not doing that. They're not creating interesting content. They're not.
There's no water cooler talk. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah. That's exactly. Hey, yeah. Ooh, that's it.
Who's this Steve Austin guy? You know, like there's no like.
We spent a lot of time on this. So
if you had to describe the next day at work, they're arguably their biggest dude's Roman Reigns, right? If somebody walked up to you and was like, "Hey, I heard you guys talking about wrestling. Who's like the big guy right now?"
He would say Roman Reigns.
But how would you describe him?
Just swarthy.
Right.
Wet hair, good head of hair. How do you describe him? Yeah. What's his gimmick?
But if you
what's his gimmick?
Exactly. He's a big tough dude who beats people up. Whereas like let's say like I remember when I was watching wrestling and like Steve Austin would show up on a beer truck and he'd do this and he'd go crazy and blah blah blah. There's so much like kineticism and like it's a dynamic thing. You're missing the dynamic thing now, you know? And that's where you'll get people. You need a little more violence, a little more edge.
Yeah.
I'm not saying chair shots to the head, but just a little more edge. I think that's going to happen after the AEW stuff, by the way.
Yeah, well, AEW is going to kind of change this up. And AEW is in a very... If you were starting a pro wrestling company...
Yeah, from the ground up. It would be Randy Orton.
It would be Randy Orton. Just everybody should be Randy Orton. They are in the best position right now to possibly do something.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have all this negativity with WWE.
Yep.
Very similar to what it was in the 90s when WCW boomed.
Absolutely.
Very similar. A lot of negativity. The product is stale. It's not appealing to me. I need something that appeals to me. AEW has to be very careful the first year.
Yes.
Very careful how they do this. They have the talent, and that's great. You have to create storylines, not for what you think is going to be good, but what you think people are going to want to watch.
Yes.
We have to be careful of that because being the elite, if you watch it, which I do every week and I'm entertained by it, it's what they would find interesting, not what people watching wrestling would find interesting. It just happens to work at the moment.
Yeah, I think it'll work for the next couple of years.
I think it'll work. I think it'll work, but I'm very curious how this plays apart. By the way, did you see that Jericho and Cody thing that they did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people messaged me asking if it was real?
Interesting.
That is good.
Yeah.
If that's how you're feeling about this, that's a really good sign.
Kayfabe, bro.
And these are smartened, smartened fans asking if it's real. So just think about that. AEW announced their pay-per-view partner for Double or Nothing, TV partner for the UK. It's ITV. They do have a 1-hour pre-show. I was told they were scrambling to get a TV partner here in the States for it, and they did not get one.
Okay.
That may be a little telling of what's going on. So it is going to stream. That 1-hour pre-show is going to stream on plethora of content providers. You're going to be able to get it. But the fact that they could not secure a TV partner, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
Too soon to tell.
I don't know what to make of it.
They've only, it's funny because like there's so much riding on this for fans, and they've only had one show, and it happened Labor Day weekend, 2018.
And it wasn't even them.
You know,
that was a big part of what's going on with the TV.
Right.
The TBS or TN Turner was under the impression that it was their production.
Right.
and it was Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor did a hell of a job with that show.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. Unfortunately, they don't do that with their regular show. But,
Right. Yeah.
but they did a great job with that show. Let's talk about, let's see. You know what? Let's talk about Lars.
Sure.
Have you been following this? Because it's back. All the stuff that he said, those bad things that he said on the forums.
I'm not giving the guy the benefit of the doubt, but I do feel like if he's an internet troll, that like it's so bizarre.
I have to tell you, it doesn't fit him when you look at this guy that
Right.
he's sitting on a bodybuilding forum and doing that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of read more into what he has said
Yeah.
before, because you see the hysteria online. He's a racist. He's a homophobe.
He's a
He's a this. He's a bigot. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna read about this. You know what he sounds like to me?
Nerd.
A 20-something-year-old shithead
Yeah.
on a forum. Okay, that's what he sounds like. And I'm like reading this. I'm like, you know what? It is a little off. Like, and I'm not. By the way, this is no defense for Lars. Okay, I just want to get that straight. I'm not defending what he said, but I'm looking at it as, okay, what's the terrible thing he said? And I'm reading this, and I'm like, okay, you know, he's being a dick. He's being controversial for the sake of being controversial. He's saying that he finds race jokes and gay jokes funny. Okay, and I'm reading this, and then he goes into like,
here it goes.
really bad stuff.
Yeah. if it's him,
he goes into some, really pretty
awful stuff.
Pretty awful stuff. This to me sounds like a very confused, damaged 20-something-year-old. And now he's in a situation where things that he has done in his 20s, it's coming to haunt him.
Okay.
6-7 years later. This should be a alarm for everybody, right?
Sure.
How you act on the internet will affect you in some point in your real life.
Right.
Okay? Act like a human being.
Right.
Don't act like some bizarre person. Like one thing which I find this telling, he said, and a lot of this is his own insecurities. If you read this, his thoughts on rape were pretty interesting.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
He's like, well, what is consent? What isn't consent? Some women like you to rip their clothes off and be more aggressive. So how do you know where the line is? It is a dumb question to ask.
Very dumb
I think
question,
most people, 99% of people walking kind of know.
Yeah, just do it anyway.
What you do. Yeah.
Just do it anyway.
Yeah. You kind of understand the line, right?
Yeah.
His concept on mental illness that he said you got to have a pretty weak mind. You got to be weak-minded. Is very telling of his own insecurities. His thoughts on Hispanics and African American wrestlers,
so stupid,
and what you should do. And he called R-Truth and Kofi. He said something about looking like prison gang members.
This is awful.
Just a very confused boy.
Regardless, even if it's not him, whoever posted those things is also just kind of like, leave that. If you're gonna have those thoughts, don't put them on the internet.
But you know what, though? I'm going to tell you this. I'm reading this. I'm like, I see these comments every single day. His thoughts on Daniel Bryan and wrestlers and other wrestlers and AJ Lee and all that. These are the shitty comments that all these people leave on the internet. And just, you have to be self-aware.
Sure.
What you're saying and what you're doing. Listen, to kind of play the other side, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've said some pretty bad things. Not bad in this regard.
No.
We've made jokes. We've said things.
Sure.
I was younger. I would never apologize for what I've said because I don't feel like I said anything
wrong.
Bad.
Yeah.
But by today's standard, it would be considered,
a little cringy, but it's
okay.
It's all right.
We would play terrible. Listen, F, marry, kill.
Sure.
Okay. We still do that time to time.
Only with the men, though.
You know how upset people get?
Why?
People get mad.
Only with the men.
People get mad.
Can't do it with the ladies anymore.
You can't do it with the ladies anymore. People get very mad.
Well, not the mad, but people take it too far. Where it's like, oh, not only would I do this to her, but I would do this and this and this. All right, dude, that's okay.
Listen, it's a very different world now, and everybody's just like this goes back to what we were saying in the beginning of the show. People are looking at things to kind of pick at and pull, right? To kind of, they don't focus in on the overall statement. They focus in on pulling stuff. His comments look like a very confused young man.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't have his thoughts in order. for him to be typing things like this publicly.
Yeah.
And I always tell that to people. I always tell people, you got to be careful what you're typing because there's no way you could kind of explain it more. Once it's typed and you pick up the narrative and you point at a certain narrative that maybe he wasn't trying to say, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
He already ruined himself. So now he's in a weird situation where a lot of people are not very happy with him, including top talent.
Right.
Listen, people change. I don't know him. Maybe he's still, maybe he's like this.
But how did people find out that it was him?
I don't remember. Somebody started digging.
Oh, jeez.
And they figured out it was him because he was posting that he was training at this facility and it was the same location that he went.
That's a lot of digging.
Somebody
Internet
figured
detectives,
it out.
Man. Let me ask you something because you're a big fan of you don't want anonymity on the internet. Right?
I do agree for some things like political asylum seekers.
Okay. Sure, right.
You know what I mean?
You mean the stuff that matters.
I guess that there needs to be some sort of anonymity to expose terrible things. But I'll give an example. On Twitter, there was a guy, he's probably listening to this. He lost his mind because my wife posted a picture of my kids
I'm gonna punch that guy.
On her Facebook, and tagged me, and this guy lost his mind.
Yeah. I saw that.
That's a real dick move, dude.
It's upsetting.
Listen, and you know what? It's my fault.
Uppercut.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
You know
it's
why?
Not your fault.
It is my fault because
you love your family?
I assumed that my viewers are normal enough to kind of have an understanding that people have lives outside of wrestling.
Right.
So what I did, I closed my Facebook. It's shut to the world.
Yeah,
it's only for me and my families and my friends.
That's it.
That's it. Done.
That's all you got to do.
I don't have to deal with it.
Do you think if you're gonna put, let's say, like all the Twitter, all the garbage Twitter people, do you think it should be their profile should be their real name, and then their avatar should be a picture of their flaccid penis?
I think
for
the company
extra judgment.
I'm not a big fan of Twitter as a company.
Okay,
but if there was some sort of ethical way, I think that they should have your information before you go on there. Yeah, done. I don't say anything venomous.
What about the avatar of the flaccid penis?
I think it should be a flaccid penis.
Like their
fine.
They have to
fine.
take a picture.
That's fine. Yeah.
Of their
I was getting into that.
Of their sad junk.
Yeah.
It would be like
I'm okay with that.
Give me a name. Give me a fake name.
Rubel Hershenstein.
Rubel Hershenstein, who hates Monday Night Raw and wants to do really gnarly things to Ruby Riott. It should be that name.
That name.
And a picture he
and
took.
Flaccid.
His flaccid. They have to approve the picture of the flaccid penis.
It has to be him. They need to confirm. He needs to hold a little sign saying his name, Rubel Hershenstein, and like by his spiel.
This is my dick.
Yeah. Listen, man, I get it. People have all these issues, whatever. Large, I not a fan of him personally based on this, but you don't know. People change. I don't know him. Green Lives Matter says, don't tempt me, guys.
That's all about that flaccid peen.
Listen, I think we have a great... Out of all the wrestling shows, we have a phenomenal community of
We
people.
do. We do.
There's maybe one or two of you. Remember the guy that I told him to burn our shirts that he bought?
Yes.
I told him to go outside, start a fire, and set his shirts on fire. He's lost the right to wear them.
Yeah. It's good.
Let's go down the list here.
But buy our shirts, guys. ProWrestlingTees.com.
Yeah.
You can find your Matman t-shirts.
Bray's gimmick. I haven't asked you about this.
Love it.
I do too.
Love it. Did you see the thing that he released the other day about the hidden messages in his old promos?
Yeah, somebody on Reddit kind of like started putting it together.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was though. It was too much to read.
It was a lot of like it's a lot of allusion like to what he's doing now, like ending the promos with "Let me in," you know. And I think I think this character is broadcasting from a different dimension.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. I personally love it. What do you think?
I thought it was really good with the depressed kids.
He's looking good too.
He's looking good too. Listen, it says a lot about his talent and his ability to get this, somewhat over. I'm hoping that this kind of leads into something insane.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that. Also, Kenny Omega is going back to Japan. Just letting you guys know.
Hell yeah.
It's expected that he will be wrestling in Japan. They did want him on that G1 show. Actually, there was discussion to have him, and they decided that they can't have him there because it's not going to lead to anything. He's not going to do the G1.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe this leads to something. I do expect him there by the end of the year.
Do you think Jericho beats him at Double or Nothing? Then Jericho beats Okada, and then you get Kenny Jericho.
Does
3?
There's a lot of eyes on this show.
Absolutely.
So you have to be very careful what you do and how you do it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the answer to that is. Do you want to do mailbag questions?
Let's do mailbag.
Guys,
I got 10 minutes and I got to get out of here. Let's do mailbag questions. Give us your questions.
Give us your questions in the chat room. We have a whole bunch on Twitter, which I'm going to go down the list here.
Let's do it. Hit me.
What wrestling maneuver
Pile driver
that was used historically as a finish do you guys find frustrating that's used as a high spot now?
You know what? You got to adapt. I have no problem.
Well, give me one.
Rude Awakening.
A rude awakening.
Just a neck breaker, you know?
I think a DDT.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of like a really good DDT. That's the only one, and you don't really see it that often.
Yeah, I think he's alluding to super kicks.
Super kicks, maybe. Okay, I'm okay with the super kicks. To be honest, I didn't really. Let's see. We have so many tweets here. I'm very confused where to begin. Oh yeah, Lucha Underground's probably done too.
Okay, that's cool.
I have a question. If it's possible for Vince to screw the WWE product even more, I don't think it's beyond Vince. It's stock investors, it's advertisers, it's the network, it's the writers, it's the
everything.
bookers, it's everything.
Endorsements.
Yeah. This is going to sound really negative, but I've been a fan since the 1990s. I'm 31.
Of us, thanks.
Yeah, since the 90s. He's been a big fan of us. Give me one reason why I should be watching Raw next week. That's a great question.
That is a great question. Because it's fun and it's free.
It's fun and it's free. Okay. How important is the ITV deal? I don't think it's that important because they haven't announced a major TV deal in the UK. Why don't y'all talk any about AAA or CMLL? I can't do WWE talk anymore. Because we don't really watch it that often.
Yeah.
AAA TV is not here in the States. I'm sure we could watch it online, but it's beyond my realm of wrestling at this point.
Exactly.
I barely could watch Impact. And it's been really good TV.
Think
about all the TV. You got ROH, you got Impact, you got New Japan, you got WWE, you got NXT, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, WWE, and then plus other MLW.
Right.
A
lot of stuff, man.
How much can I watch?
Besides the stuff that you want to watch.
I'm not that familiar with a lot of those guys in AAA.
Shin's got a question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk on commentary of Corbin squandering his money in the bank last time he had it. Do you think he wins it this year and redeems himself? No, I do not. I think they're going to keep Corbin as one of their big heels for the time being. As far as who wins that briefcase this year, I think it's going to be like Finn, Andrade, somebody in that, Aleister Black maybe. I could see Aleister Black with the suitcase.
Okay, who's in it? It's Ricochet.
Or Ricochet.
Maybe Ricochet. I don't know. I don't know who got it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Andrade with it.
How do you feel about Baron Corbin?
That's a great question. I put a thing out saying, how would you fix him?
Rich in the studio with, how do you feel about Baron Corbin?
Did you see my question that I put?
Yeah.
How would you fix Baron Corbin? Nobody could give me an answer except I got identical. The only fix that I got was identical to each and every one of them was take him off TV and make him the lone wolf again.
Yeah, 100%. I
Give
mean,
him a bike.
It's one thing to be like sarcastic, but like at least look at this. Like I saw the same comment over and over again, which was like they should fire him and he should die. Like, all right, that's not really original. You don't want the guy to die or get fired.
Let's see.
This is bread and butter.
What do you guys think of Cody's "I Love My Brother" promo? I thought that was stellar.
Good stuff.
Great promo.
Looking forward to that match too.
How do you feel about people who aren't at all excited about AEW? I'm very excited about AEW, and I'm hoping that they do well.
I'm fine with people not being excited about anything.
But we are going to see, by the way, if AEW is terrible, you're going to see so many "I told you so's," and if they're amazing, you're going to see even more venomous messages.
Oh, 100%.
It's now going to be AEW versus WWE. Where do you guys see AEW in a year?
On TV.
Well, they'll be on TV. I think if they play their cards right, they could be putting on a very aggressively competitive product.
Yes.
We don't know anything about it. We have to see the first 2 weeks of the show. We just know that they have a different vision and they are learning and they're seeing the mistakes WWE's making. They have great people behind the scenes. Jim Ross is a great mind. They hired Jerry Lynn as a producer agent.
So good.
I know Cody and them, they're all working.
Got Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn is there. You have a lot of generational guys that are understanding of how this works.
Yeah.
Back there. It
100%.
depends how they, do it. Do you guys think, who do you guys think will be the first AEW World Champion?
Hangman.
Hangman Page?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
you don't do Kenny. Kenny won't do it first.
Either Hangman or maybe Pac.
That's a good one.
You know, just
You know what?
because heel champion, right?
I'm gonna throw Kenny Omega.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw Kenny Omega in the tournament.
Okay.
I don't know how they're crowning it. I don't know how they're gonna do that. But the belt's made.
Yeah.
The belt's done.
I'm excited about this belt.
It's big. It's a big boy.
Mhm.
It's a big. It's not identical, but it's kind of modeled after the Mid-South title, the big giant Mid-South title.
Massive
plates.
I love the fact that, you know, it could be Hangman. He's in the conversation. But now that, like, the two variables that we may have are a Jon Moxley showing up, which would, I think, be a really big get for them. And honestly, and like, this is not the fanboy thing, but the possible CM Punk thing now.
What's going on with that?
Right. He did that weird indie return, allegedly, right?
He's been doing it for a while.
He's been talking about wrestling a lot lately. He's friends with all these dudes. I think there is a strong possibility to keep this dude on a limited schedule, like once a month.
He doesn't want to do it though.
But look at that top card: Jericho, Omega, Moxley, possibly CM Punk. Right? As a fan, how do you feel about that?
I don't think if we're talking name recognition, I think AEW needs a CM Punk.
Okay.
I don't think CM Punk will be the savior, but I do think that it would bring between a Dean Ambrose and Dean Ambrose also. That's another consideration.
The
right?
Moxley, yeah.
Dean Ambrose is going to be doing the indies starting in June.
Yeah.
So
he can
expect
start
him to
right
be
now.
everywhere. I don't know if he's going to be at this AEW show. Most likely not.
I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say yes? Okay, maybe yes.
You know why?
Why?
That last promo he cut, I didn't realize it, but the whole promo was about cashing his chips in.
It was.
And,
well, the promo was. And then the video, there was 2-5 in casino chips.
Right.
Casino in dice. So maybe.
And he also lives in Las Vegas.
He does he?
Yeah.
Really?
So there's I feel like there's a strong possibility this dude's him and Jimmy Jacobs are gonna end up murdering each other.
Yeah, CM Punk is working with he's doing something the day of Double or Nothing. So he's not going to be there. But I don't know. I do think they need names.
Yeah.
They do need names. That's the reality of it. I know that they're going to be creating names, but they need a recognized name to the P2 viewer.
Alberto Del
Oh, my
Rio.
God. Can you imagine? That's the end.
Alberto.
Let's see. What else do we have? Punk is going to be working. I got some more messages here.
John Cena.
What do you guys think? What do you guys feel is the true reason that's keeping the WWE from producing huge talent like Hogan, Austin, and The Rock? And is there anyone on the current roster that you guys feel has the potential to be given that opportunity? The reason is it's that spoke on the wheel mentality, where they don't want there to be a Hogan to have leverage. They don't want an Austin to have leverage or a Rock to have leverage. So what they've done is, I guess they've created a bunch of Triple H's.
Okay.
Right?
I agree and I disagree. I do think it's because times have changed so much where in the 80s, Hogan was the horse that pulled that wagon because it was a company that wasn't publicly traded. It was owned by one dude. So it's like, listen, you have the personality, let it fly, fill the arenas, we'll all get paid. Same thing with Austin, right? Like, fill the arenas, will all get paid. Go as nuts as you want. They can't do that now because as nuts as you want could mean the endorsements will cut, the networks will start hating on you, the publicly traded stuff, it does, it's
hard,
it's a different time, baby.
But they also have not done a great job at creating the star. But they also maybe they don't have that guy. Remember, listen, these are not dime a dozen moments that they get.
Yeah,
with a Hogan or an Austin or a Rock. We just happen to be in an era where they all showed up.
Yeah.
It was a very different creation of talent. There's only one Ric Flair, there's only one Steve Austin, there's only one Rock. It just so happened that it was in an era that they all coexisted.
I think we kind of have that now, but we don't see it because of the toxic glaze in front of us, where you have a roster that I'll give you three guys. You have a roster that has AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Ricochet. Did you ever think you'd see that?
No, listen, the roster is phenomenal. It's great. Yeah. There's nothing wrong, but there is no one guy. they have not created a John Cena.
That is
And
true.
for all the John Cena hate, the guy was the star. He drew, and he still does when he shows up.
If you had to pick the guy, who would it be?
If I had to pick the guy, who would it be? With the current roster, it's not Daniel Bryan. It's not AJ Styles.
Okay.
I think Adam Cole could be that guy.
Oh, okay. Good
Because
pick.
he's really good as a talker.
He's good. He's good at everything.
Braun could have been the guy.
Okay.
You had to get rid of that beard and the hillbilly gimmick.
Yeah.
You had to make him into a big dude. He could have been. I don't think they have it, man. It doesn't. It's not there.
I think Rollins.
Okay, but remember, larger than life. All these guys were larger than life.
Okay. I think they're still larger than life, but in a different way. I think in a very different way.
Like Hulk Hogan, you got to have a cartoon. Okay.
Yes.
Those are the ones that get over. Every one of these guys that have gotten over is a cartoon. Ric Flair is a cartoon.
Yes.
Hulk Hogan is a cartoon.
The Rock.
The Undertaker a cartoon. The Rock a cartoon.
Yeah.
Steve Austin a cartoon.
Yeah.
Who's the cartoon?
That's true. Braun.
Okay,
Braun's
Braun.
a cartoon.
Braun, Lars, right? They're
Well-
trying, but he's lacking that the charisma.
Elias.
Elias has the charisma.
He's the cartoon.
But again, you know what I mean? There's no cartoon. There's no. You got to be larger than life.
Bordering on ridiculous.
Bordering on ridiculous. That's the only way. Listen, Becky's bordering on ridiculous right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Right? Her promos are bordering on ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it got over. You got to create that larger than life character. I don't know. I got to think about that. I can't even. It doesn't come to mind.
Right.
There's no one guy.
Yeah.
I can see Adam Cole being a really good, strong heel.
You know who I really like? Jimmy Uso.
They're good.
I think Jimmy Uso and Jay are borderline ridiculous.
Okay, what did you think of that the itch powder and all that shit that they're doing?
I'm fine with that. You know what? Like Revival, great. That's a cartoon right there. Their reactions to the itch powder, it wasn't itch powder. It was
itch cream?
No, it was like icy hot.
It was icy hot.
They called it oozy hot. You put icy hot on your ding dong. You know, it's not doesn't feel too good.
You know, it's funny when Edge and Christian did it, nobody hated it.
That is true.
Just think about it.
Perception.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying perception is everything.
I'm okay with that. You need those wacky moments.
Okay, who do you think that the guy for AEW 5 years from now? I don't know if they'll be here 5 years from now. The hope is they will. I think Kenny Omega will be a strong guy. I think MJF, they're going to groom him and Hangman Page to be the two top guys.
Absolutely.
I think that's what they're looking at right now. They're high on MJF and Hangman.
I'll throw Pillman Jr. in there too.
Isn't a guy has charisma? He's little. He has charisma. I think right now, wrestling's evolving. So personalities have to be bigger than life. And if you are writing and scripting everything the same way, they can't get past that. So it is what it is.
I like your little Larry King body language there. It was very
What'd
nice.
I do?
You were like this with the pen in your hand. I gotta talk to you about pro wrestling.
So, Bill in Cincinnati, you're on the air.
I gotta get moving.
Okay, you gotta go. All right, let's go. Guys, that's it for this week. We gotta wrap it up. I gotta do another show. Rich has to leave.
Yeah.
We're back. We're live.
Wow.
We'll be back next week. Next week's my birthday.
Happy
Monday's
birthday.
my birthday. 35.
I know.
Still hanging on.
You don't look a day over 40.
Thank you. I've been putting face cream on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's?
Ooze
Who's
cream.
face cream?
Ooze. It's my birthday on Monday. Next week we should have another fun show.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to have another bonus show coming up next week. A lot of recordings to do. Guys, if you enjoy the show, go to Patreon, patreon.com/MattMattenPodcast. Fund us there. Also, you can hit that super chat button right now. If you want to give us $1, you could do so, and that'll be awesome. That'll help us out. All right, guys. See you all next time. Take care.
Bye.